Hey guys, welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Andrew Seegers, and this time we're joined by Jose Otero from IGN and Neal Ronaghan from Nintendo World Report to discuss our reviews and impressions of Super Mario Run. So let's get started. Alright guys, Super Mario Run just came out, and already seems to be taking the world, or at least the demographic of it that plays iPhone games by storm, because it has already topped the charts on the iPhone and iPad. It's already at number 1, and according to a few estimates that have come out, it apparently has sold anywhere from not sold, but has been downloaded either by 3 to 5 million people, depending on which report you want to believe.
That's a huge variance.
It is a very big variance, but regardless, it's a big number, so it seems like it at least has garnered a lot of attention. But at the same time, there also has been some blowback as well, and we'll touch on that a little bit later, I think. For now, though, I thought we'd get our general thoughts on the game. People who are listening to us, I presume, have already heard my impressions, so I'll give them real quick. I thought it was good. I liked it a lot. I didn't have much expectations for it going in, and it impressed me. I was pleasantly surprised by how fun it was. How about you, Jose? What were your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, no, I gave it an 8 on the IGN scale. Went in also with just like measured expectations of, all right, I know this is Mario, but at the same time, this is Mario on mobile, and so to me, the expectations needed a bit of shuffling because of the interaction and the fact that it was aiming for simplicity. Can simplicity still sort of lead to a skill-based platformer? Right. And I was happy to find that there were hooks in there for that kind of game. And so I really enjoyed it. I'm still playing it in the office. Per and I are at war over scores for stages currently. It's going to be that way for a little bit, which is a lot of fun.
Side note, real quick, you need to tell me your secrets for World 1-1. I spent a couple hours trying to best my friend Gadget's score, who I think you also know. And then I find out you topped it somehow with like 20 more coins than any of us. I'm like, how in the hell? So, yeah.
I will tell you the secret sauce later, sure, no problem.
Off the record.
Off the record, I will
right.
tell you everything you need to know.
Perfect, that's what I need to hear. All right, how about you, Neal? What are your thoughts so far on this game? I know you haven't given a full review yet, but you gave a work in progress,
a review in progress is what I've done, and there's a discussion over on the Nintendo World Report YouTube channel as well, so you can hear me talk about this game a lot.
Non-stop Neal coverage on this game.
So they had the Jimmy Fallon stuff last week, which was actually probably Super Mario Run was the least interesting part about that, because they had the Switch and Miyamoto and the Roots, and it was great. But they announced there that it was going to be playable in Apple stores. So when I woke up Friday morning, I basically went directly to an Apple store to go and play the demo that they had there, which is basically the trial version. And I loved that, and I couldn't wait to play more of it. And when I finally played it, I love the World Tour mode. The more I play Toad Rally, like I don't really like Toad Rally that much, but I love the mechanics. Jose, you were talking about how can they make this work and translate it there or into the mobile experience and kind of take what made Mario platformers great, and I think they did a very good job with that. I don't like Toad Rally, and I think that the Kingdom mode is kind of like not that much fun. Like, I could just kind of want to
I'm right there with you on Toad Rally. I mean, I feel like it's strange to me because I think I understand where they were going for this idea that, it's a race. It's a race around the track. It's about as much fun as racing someone on a track right now. Like, granted, there's all these flips and these flourishes, and you can style it and look good, but you are running around in basically a circle. It's a looped progression instead of something like an endless runner where it's constantly throwing things, random things at you. Now, to be fair, it's cool that the themes have different structures within them. So even though I'm going to a ghost house, it's not the same first floor. Or if I'm going to one of the floatier levels or a castle stage, the layout's not the same each time, but it does set a layout that it then repeats, and that's the thing that doesn't feel really interesting.
But it's also, I don't think it's really a race, because it is like you need to get coins and do cool parkour moves, and that's like, I don't feel like it's really well communicated what you have to do well in Toad Rally.
I think that's fair. No, for sure. I saw it as a race because you're going for that flagpole, and that's 10 guaranteed coins, and so I saw that as, okay, that's going to give me an advantage on top of, doing those moves that impress Toads, which sometimes you should do, and sometimes you really shouldn't do, because it will screw you over, and you'll fall into a pit, or you'll run smack into an enemy
hit the stupid
that can
ninjas.
hurt you. No, so I think, and I think that's been the challenge with Toad Run for me, where it's like I like what it was going for, but I do wish there was a bit more of a random element to it. I mean, there is a random element just in terms of, the stage is different.
Yeah, and you don't know how the other person's going to perform as well.
Yeah, and that too. And sometimes I'm just not sure that, like, is it someone else's ghost data? Like, because that's what they kind of pitched it as. But then I'm like, okay, so which recording is this of me that it's sending to people? And I'm not, like, I have no say.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I had a really good run, and then I submit it and go, all right, that's my performance. Top that, Game Explain. Like, it's like, like it doesn't really seem to work that way to me. What do you think, Andre, on Toad Rally? Just curious.
So I'm actually kind of the total opposite of it. I actually think that's almost the real bulk of the game there. It's actually the mode I probably enjoyed the most. I felt like the World Tour was kind of like a training grounds for Toad Rally.
That's totally what the progression is. It's just that, like I think Toad Rally is, if this game has legs, that's where it has to be. Mm-hmm. And that's, yeah, I mean, you talk about why you liked it, but, like, that's, I agree with that aspect of it, that, like, Toad Rally is the meat of the game.
Well, I think the reason I liked it is because that's actually where the controls really, truly clicked for me. That is where I realized this all makes sense. In the review, I mentioned that I almost felt like this game almost feels like a rhythm game at points, like with the level design, how it's constructed, and I feel that's even more the case in Toad Rally, especially with how you're rewarded for those stylish moves. And that to me almost felt like you guys played Thousand Year Door, of course, right? You know how you can do the stylish moves after performing an attack, and the crowd cheer you on. Toad Rally felt to me like an entire mode built around that, and I love that idea. It just felt rewarding to pull off those moves, especially when it comes at the expense of the opponent you're taking on. I agree, they could probably communicate some of the ideas better. Like, you're right, I don't know which replay of mine is uploaded. But also, I'm not sure if I care that much, because I'm not the one taking on my own replays.
Yeah, no, and that's fair. So just to put this out there too, like, I think that each person obviously is going to look at it differently. And it's funny because the other day I went to get pizza the day the game came out, and I found one of our guys at the pizza place just glued to Toad Rally, and he's like, I love this. He was like, this is what I want to do. I just want to topple other people's scores and continue to kind of, build up. I don't know if the Kingdom Builder actually hooked him, but it was just the competitive aspect of it that really got him. So I think part of that spirit is there. Mm-hmm. I just think that it does suffer a little bit from not having just a little bit more to the trick. Like, just constantly running that one loop is, I think, what's been my issue.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I guess for me, at least at first, I didn't even recognize that it was a loop. Like, I was so focused on just, earning all those points. And actually, side note, I feel like Toad Rally is something you shouldn't even attempt until you're far enough ways into the main campaign, World Tour. Just because there's so much going on in Toad Rally. You have coins flying everywhere. You got the meter to keep track of. You're trying to best your opponent, trying to get to the flag while pulling off stylish moves. Like, there was so much to take in. Oh, yeah. But once it started clicking, I really appreciated it.
Yeah, World Tour is where I'm at. Like, okay. I love the pink, purple, and black coin collection brilliant. Idea. Like, I just think it's so smart. Yeah, just the fact that, like, look, first of all, the black coins are evil. Like, they hibernate in places you will never think to look. And sometimes you'll go through a section and be like, I should have passed one. Where is it? Right. And then it's about, like, trying to figure that out. But I also love that the jumps that you need to perform to get some of those coins are just so skill-based and so precise, and you have to stutter in the air, and you have to bounce off of an enemy to get that height and that distance. I love that aspect, and that's the part of the game where I'm addicted most, I feel. And I hate that word with video games, because, like, addiction is not a good thing.
No, it's not.
Like, it's not. But I can't help but come back and try over and over.
I'm on the same page as you there, Jose. Like, when I played the Apple Store demo last week, that's what hooked me, was when I had that realization of being like, wait, there's 15 different coins. I can get 3 different layouts of each stage. Mm-hmm. That's incredible. And I feel like the World 6 and World Tour kind of disappointed me a little bit. I guess for the sake of spoilers, I won't go too deep into it. But, like, it kind of feels like the first half of it's really good, and then it just kind of, like, goes out with a whimper that I'm not used to, like, Mario platformers going out with recently. Because, like, it feels like a lot of the new Super Mario Brothers games where maybe it's a little unfair comparing Super Mario Run directly to those, but it's a same thing where you're going through worlds and beating bosses and stuff, and those all had like wonderful, awesome endings, and this one just kind of was like, and it's done.
I can see that. I mean, I don't think it's an unfair comparison. I think, I view all games as what they are. They're games. I actually felt this one held up pretty well compared to, at least my impressions of the other New Super Mario Brothers games. I'm not the biggest New Super Mario Brothers fan, so I like the fact that this one actually played differently for a change from the others. But I can totally see that, going out with a whimper. Like, part of the problem, I think, maybe from your perspective, is that they, reuse a lot of the level design. Not designs, but templates. Like, there's no overall theme to each world.
No, I can see some of that. I feel like I didn't care so much that it ended, but to me, it just immediately turned into, okay, now I'm going for the coins.
Yep.
Now I'm here for real. And it's just been that. So I don't know if it really bothered me as much as that the campaign didn't end on a super, you see Mario campaigns. You're right, build to just like this stage that you go, holy shit, like this is really good.
Right.
And you walk away really impressed. I will say though that there are hidden stages to unlock that are tied to the coins, and if you get them all, and I was able to unlock the first one, and I was like, wow, this is hard. Like this is a very difficult level there.
All right, so I have a Goldenite, and that's stop. I've been going through each stage and getting all three set, like pink, purple, and black in each stage at once. Maybe I will throw that out the window and just roll through and get all the pink coins to see those secret stages.
I was at like 92 of 120, and I was trying to get every set in each stage, and I was like, you know what? Let me just find out what happens, and then you're able to unlock this pink warp pipe that takes you to a special level.
Right.
And I like that because it's just kind of like there's been a consistent sort of extra thing in Mario games lately with 3D World, and there was that really crazy hard stage that you had to build towards. There were additional worlds. I mean, that was way more generous than this.
Yeah.
But it was just still that, hey, there are these extra things that I didn't know are in here that are really challenging. It's a shame that it looks like it caps at 3 of them, but I'm not entirely sure that's accurate either because I haven't gotten all of the purple and all of the black coins yet.
Yeah, that might be what I do tonight, and that might actually solve kind of my problem with thinking that World 6 kind of ends with a whimper, if those secret stages do kind of make up for it. So stay tuned. We'll be checking that out probably right after we're done here.
The suspense. I've actually played through those stages, or at least 2 of those stages too, Jose, and I agree, they're fun. And that actually kind of ties into another portion we haven't really touched on too much yet, and that's Kingdom Builder. Which is something, at least for me, I felt like it was an aspect of the game that wasn't terribly well communicated during the build-up to the game's release. Like, I really had no idea what it actually was.
That's because there's nothing there.
Yeah, well, so I would actually disagree. I actually like how it's implemented. Like, it's a fairly light addition. It's not like there's not a ton of depth to it, but I like that it provides. It feels like it's the connective tissue between everything else in the game. Like, it lends meaning to the coins you collect in Toad Rally and in World Tour, and it gives you. Even as it applies to those hidden coins, as Jose mentioned, where you unlock those levels. You can also, build homes for new characters to add to the game. I felt like it was a really good feedback loop, and I even like the addition of just being able to decorate it, kind of like a little bit like Animal Crossing Lite. Like, and I like that it was the first thing you saw. Like that, it's a light thing, but something that you're always seeing, and it gives you like that light incentive to keep playing the game.
Yeah, Andre, I liked it for the same reasons you did, in terms of. Yeah, there's additional content behind this, and it does fit this gameplay loop. I'm able to get my Toad Rally tickets here because you need those to play competitive if you're going to play that mode. And I like the characters were there. I think that the thing that does make it sort of hard to love, I like it, but I don't love it, is I just feel like I want a little more interaction in that space. I like that, for example, there are bonus games there, and I like that these hidden levels are there. And you're able to get these characters there, but I feel like it's an ant farm that I check in on, and every once in a while the ants have a coin for me, and I go, "Oh, thanks. All right, you go, bye-bye," and then I just go back to another mode. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't. I don't open that part of the game and find something like a new discovery or something like a mini game or something like. Remember, like New Super Mario Brothers on DS had all of these wacky touch mini games and things that were just part of that experience. It wasn't really tied to anything. It was just, hey, here's a bunch of little touchscreen distractions you can mess around with. I think that stuff like that may have been cool to have there.
I totally agree.
Yeah, versus like just this sort of like static village that, granted, you change and improve. And maybe those improvements add up to something later outside of what we've already talked about. But I just find it kind of boring to check in on because of those reasons.
I think my main issue with it is so when Nintendo dropped Miitomo and went into the mobile game world, I started playing a bunch of mobile games, just kind of like, all right, so like Nintendo's coming in here, like what are the other popular things? And I got really deep into a couple clickers. Egg Inc. is one that I like a whole lot. And I feel like the Kingdom is kind of like it should be like a clicker, and it's just not a very good one. Like, because it's like the thing that the rewards that you get, like, yeah, all the characters and the levels and the little mini games are fun, but then like all it is that like this toad has a coin for you, and like there doesn't seem to be as much of an incentive to keep on going, other than like, look at my little world, and I can get a character if I play enough Toad Rally.
Well, and it kind of feels like, I don't know if you guys play like Neko Atsume, but that's sort of it even got name dropped by Miyamoto. Like, I was shocked he said like a game that he plays, because I feel like Nintendo, and especially old school Nintendo, doesn't like to sort of talk about the non-Nintendo games that they've ever touched. But he name dropped that he plays that game with his wife, and it's sort of, I think it's going for that passive experience though, and I think that's the thing that they were ultimately like seeking and are kind of proud of. Like, Neko Atsume is this game where you basically leave out cat food and toys, and cats show up and you want to take pictures of them, but there's not a lot of interaction there outside of like at least that I've seen in it. Yeah, but people love that thing. They
and that
love
game is
so much.
That game's really neat.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that they were going for. I just don't know if they hit it right. I should say. But Andre, how else do you feel about sort of Kingdom Builder?
Maybe it's an expectations thing, just because I had none. I didn't even know what to expect of it, and the fact that there's any amount of depth to it kind of impressed me. There's not a ton of depth to it, granted, but the fact that I've enjoyed my time with it, and the fact that it serves its purpose well of connecting everything else in the game, I've been fine with it. Like, I was surprised when I built a rainbow bridge and it gave double the size of my kingdom, or when I built a Toad House and that actually added a new minigame, which is kind of something you were touching on.
Yeah, and it's charming. Yeah, you open it up and you see like toads circling around a warp pipe, and you're like, well, that's the thing.
Right, exactly. So like those little touches to me like actually did surprise me. And granted, I don't know how long this is going to hold my interest for. I can't say yet. But so far, like, just as this light little addition, like, I'm like, that's actually a pretty, cute way of pulling me back and giving me a reward for the coins, which is something Mario games haven't really had. I might say ever, but at least lives used to matter. These days, like, coins don't even matter for the purpose of lives. So I like that the coins actually do have a purpose now.
And I do like there's, I got a pipe recently that, it's like the bat character. I forget, there's a specific name, but like, it was a bigger pipe that was like, oh, this creature likes to hang out in there. And then sure enough, when I checked back in, it's like there's one poking out at the top of the pipe.
Oh, what? That's Swoop? Is that the
Swoop,
one that
Swoop.
comes down from... Yeah, I looked it up. Well, I'm checking the app. I didn't know that off the top of my head. But that's cool. And I think more interactions like that is what I would want from it. Like, I mentioned those minigames from the DS one, but clearly... I don't think that's what they ever wanted to do, and frankly, like, I think that's too much. Like, they just wanted this to be a Mario experience on iPhone that was, in this runner category, and I think they nailed that part of it. I really do. Like, I think that, I'm coming back to it constantly, and I think you did touch on something, though, Andre, in that I don't know how long it'll keep my interest, but I think that's true of so many games also, Like, we just move on eventually.
Exactly. I mean, even, Splatoon, Mario Kart, it's always a question of how long is it going to hold my interest. But in the moment, those are games I really enjoyed, and same for this one, too. I quite liked it. So I guess you kind of touched on something there, this being a Mario game designed for phones, of course. What did you guys think of how they made Mario fit on the iPhones? I know that was a big concern among, probably everyone when Nintendo first announced they were going to make iPhone games, or mobile games in general. And I was actually pretty surprised with how well Mario's made the transition. Like, at first, it's a definite learning curve, and I said in my review, to me, it even feels wrong at first not being able to turn around. But once I came to grips with it, like, I think as you mentioned earlier, Jose, there is a surprising amount of depth with those controls and what they do with them within the context of these levels built with them in mind.
It didn't feel out of place at all. I mean, like you said, like, it just kind of clicked once you spent a little time with it. Like, it does feel weird that he's always running, but it works. Like, you can tell that there was a lot of thought put into how to make this game work on an iPhone. It wasn't, square peg round hole like I've seen a lot of like console games translate to mobile games. Like, I mean, Capcom announced today that they're bringing all the Mega Man games are getting ported to mobile, which I think already happened with some of them. But like, you got to do something new. You can't just put Super Mario Brothers on mobile devices. You need to do something that's made for mobile devices.
No, and those guys are definitely when they really put their minds to it and really like look at a platform, they can come up with some of the most creative or interesting ideas, I feel. And and that's not hyperbole. Like, I just feel like they have a track record of, you didn't think this would be that cool, and it is really that cool. And so I'm really impressed with that by them. Like, I think that they put a lot of thought into, especially even the hurdling, which in the office we've actually had some arguments over, because some folks feel like, well, when Mario runs up to a Goomba and he automatically hurdles over them, some folks felt like it threw them off because they didn't know what to expect. But I feel the more you play, like, they didn't understand or get that. They didn't know what he would do next when they tapped the screen. They'd be like, I just almost feel like this is unreliable. And I'm just like, no, you don't understand. Like, that's part of what they're going for. Like, this is actually a really cool idea. And it's also a cool way to make sure that someone who this is their first time playing an autorunner, they're not dead on the first 2 seconds of World 1-1, because they didn't know how to jump over, or they didn't jump over right away. And then you discover that it adds the styling element to it, where you're sort of using them to then vault into the air and do more tricks and roll, etc.
Right.
Like, I'm constantly impressed by how well Nintendo can pull something like that off and really think about it. I just think that it's something they do really well. One of my favorite stages, if I could bring this one up, like when I hit World 3-2, which was the one called Bullet Bill Barrage, where you're getting chased by bullet bills at one point.
It's so cool.
And it's really about, like, when should I jump? Because if I jump too early, I'm going to get hit. If I jump too late, I'll miss the jump to that coin I'm trying to reach. And I love it for that.
That's kind of the crazy thing about the game, is by removing control of Mario, it almost puts more of an emphasis on the actual platforming and the timing. It's making me think of going about these levels in ways I haven't had to this exactly before, and I liked it because it's almost more demanding in some ways than a typical Mario game. Even though, like, on the whole, like, if you're just playing through the game, it's actually not that tough. But when you go back, as we kind of touched on earlier, to get those coins, especially the black coins, that is when it demands precision timing. And that's when it really does reward, like, skill and taking the time to get used to these controls.
Yeah, even when I got to a ghost house and I saw that, wait, this is a one-screen puzzle challenge at this point. I think now I have to find the right door. Go ahead, Neal.
The ghost houses are just so novel because it's already like, okay, it's just everything moving to the right, and then you hit the goal, and then the ghost house, it's one-screen puzzle rooms, and even there's another vertically scrolling room. I think there's 1 or 2 of them throughout World Tour. And like it's just such a nice twist, and like the ghost houses really stood out to me as being really neat, and even those in Toad Rally are challenging and fun.
I'm usually not a big fan of ghost houses in Mario games in general, at least more specifically the newer ones, and I really dug them here because, it does unique things here. And even the tower levels, as you mentioned too, where you actually are going back and forth, they actually do run left at points. It just helped mix up the levels a little bit more. And granted, there's only 24 of them, so it doesn't take much to mix those up.
But it gave the running stages room to breathe. It did. I thought, like, it really felt like, okay, you slowed down the tempo, now I got to use my brain a little bit to figure that part out. And it also was just this really cute homage to even Mario Brothers 1, where that was a mechanic. You went from the right side of the screen and you appeared on the left trying to basically survive inside this little maze. Granted, it wasn't a really good puzzle game. The platforming was not what it is today, but it's just another cute little nod to that history to me. And I'm just like, even when I had to, although 2 things that surprised me. 1, that I would be getting keys to get out of stages and to get out of the house in general. And then 2, that if you use the blocks, which we haven't talked much about, but those blocks that they use to sort of pause you or to make you leap forward or jump backwards and do a backflip, if you backflip over a ghost, it dies? I'm like, since when? What is this?
That took me a while. So I was trying to get all the coins in the first ghost house, and somehow I got the first coin my first time through without realizing what I did. Then went back to get them all again, or rather to get all 5 that time. I'm like, how in the hell do I take on this Boo? Like, he just followed me around. What the hell do I do? Then I accidentally jumped over him and got the coin that way. But that baffled me for a while. But that was so against everything I thought I knew about Mario.
Yeah. And then take the fights with Boom Boom and the majority of the fights with Bowser, not touching too much upon the last fight with Bowser. But I hope this isn't spoiler territory to say that Bowser is an enemy in a Mario game, by the way. But just those were actually, I didn't really enjoy that part of the game. Like Bowser in this game, more than ever, just felt like this obstacle you have to go past. And it really did, and I mentioned this in our review, it just feels like this relic of Nintendo history that they didn't really find a better way to sort of fit in here, especially the fights with Boom Boom, where I'm like, okay, so the trick is I just don't control my direction, but I can just wall jump and turn around. I didn't really find that entertaining. I'm not a big fan of Boom Boom anyway. I feel like Boom Boom hasn't been interesting since Mario 3. Come at me, internet. Yeah, like I'm sorry. Like I just don't think it's a cool thing.
I mean, yeah, lacking Boom Boom fights or even boss fights in the new Super Mario Brothers games in general aren't really a new thing. So I agree with you. It just didn't stand out to me, but I'm so used to it now at this point. It's like, yeah, this is where this bouncing Boom Boom before he has a chance to do anything 3 times in a row. So
yeah, and you can pull that off.
Yeah,
it would if you just time it right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's really just. I mean, I miss the days of when 2D platforming Mario games had really fun bosses, and now it's usually just like the last one's cool and that's about it.
Yeah, or take the 3D games, meanwhile, completely can blow that out of the water.
Yeah.
Like you think back to Mario Galaxy and you remember clear as day what bosses looked like in that game,
for sure.
Because you were just like, whoa, really? I'm crawling up this big robot's leg? Are you serious right now?
Yeah. It had like a total Shadow of the Colossus moment there, right?
Yeah, and you're
great.
just like, oh wait, there's a octopus that can live in lava, and it shoots.
Of course.
It was all these like really, really impressive visual things,
Right.
and I felt like there were impressive mechanics tied to fighting them, and here you just don't have that.
So we're running out of time here, unfortunately, but there's a couple of points I want to touch on real quick. One is the fact that I was actually also surprised or impressed by just how overall polished this game felt, especially for Nintendo's like first true mobile game. Because Mitomo's not really a game, and Pokemon Go is kind of like a whole different thing. This felt like a Nintendo game on mobile, I thought. Like, it ran well, it felt polished, as compared to, well, even compared to Mitomo, which isn't a game. Like, I felt that game was far clunkier in just almost every aspect, whereas this game, I had almost no issues with figuring out where things were, or how to access the content, or even general performance. Although, granted, I was playing on a iPad Pro, so I don't know if it runs worse.
I was playing on an iPhone 5S, which I think unofficially is one of the oldest ones that it is recommended for use on. I had absolutely zero issues with
perfect.
and any frame rate chopping or anything. Like I kind of was worried that I was like this is the Apple device that I have. Like is this gonna work fine? And nothing. The only issues I ever had with it was like anything with the wireless connection. Would like sometimes that would hitch on me, but that was it. Nothing during gameplay.
And that is a negative. The fact that it does require that always-on connection, that you can't play it potentially on the subway or on a plane, for instance.
Yeah, no, that part is a bummer. Like there are other games on mobile that fall into that same trap. Like I'm a huge fan of Hearthstone, and I would play that game so much more if I could play it offline. And there are single-player portions of that game where you're just clearing dungeons and you're doing things, and yeah, it just doesn't work out that way.
That's true.
And in talking about the sort of performance of the app, and I agree, it was super polished. I think the thing that I was surprised at actually was that you can opt into a choppier version of the game.
That's right.
If you go into the options section, when you lower the graphics settings or the rendering settings, you see the chop all over it, which I just thought was this strange thing that I kind of even question why it's there. Like, because I mean, was this a big battery drain on your phones? Because I didn't feel it was, but I'm not. This review and been playing it in short bursts haven't really been indicative of like whether it was or not to me. Where did you guys fall on that?
Well, I was playing on an iPad, which has pretty decent battery life, and when I was playing it the first time, I was using the Apple TV out cable, and that killed my battery. I'm like, well, crap, is this a sign of the game itself? And as it turns out, no, it was just a cable. When I played it without the capture equipment, it seemed to have a moderate drain of my battery, like no worse than any other mobile game I've played, really, or perhaps even better than a lot of them.
Yeah, that's same with me. To the same point of the capture device, just the battery just died instantly.
Right.
It felt like
I'm sorry I brought us back. I tried it for the first time today on an iPad Pro, by the way, like the Moses tablet size thing that Apple makes, and man. Next time you're in an Apple store, check the kiosk for the demo.
That's actually
please.
I did that when I was going to buy the capture equipment. I went to an Apple store and was like, Okay, what's this look on like the big fancy iPad? And it looks really good.
Oh my god!
I'm playing on a 9-inch iPad Pro, and I actually really like how it looks. Like it's Mario. It looks like Mario on the iPad, and I think it looks great for that purpose.
Yep.
All right, final thing, price point, and it costs $10. And so far, it seems to be catching a lot of people off guard. I've seen a lot of reactions online. Like, if you just use a hashtag, I think Mario Run or one of the generic hashtags, you will see all kinds of reactions about this. Because it seems a lot of people are being caught off guard with an expectation of it being free. Because you can download for free and play the first 3 levels, but then you're hit with that gate. It's like, hey, if you want to play the rest, it's going to cost you $10. Now, to me, that kind of came... I knew this going in, so that wasn't a surprise at all. But... we live in a world now where people who are playing mobile games are conditioned now where these games are, free to play, or, there's ads in between, any number of ways. They're generally free, or quite often free. So what do you think of that reaction and the price in general? Do you think the price is fair, and what do you think about the perception of this price and people's reactions to it?
I think it's totally fair. Like, for the content that you get, $10 it's totally worth it, and I think that the trial will give you enough of a taste with 3 full levels and then like 20 seconds of a castle that by the time you're done with that trial, you will likely know whether or not you want to spend $10 or not. And yeah, I think people who complain about the price, or at least complaining about there being a price at all is preposterous. I think complaining about the price, like maybe $10, maybe you wish it was like $8 or $5 or something. Like, I get that. But it's for what you get for $10, worth it.
Yeah, I have really strong feelings towards the sentiment on mobile that games have to be priced at a $1.99, $2.99, $3.99 sort of space. Like, to me, and I don't say this like lightly, but the fact that $10, which is the cost of lunch.
Two Starbucks
in San
lattes.
Francisco, or 2 Starbucks lattes is considered too high. I just think it's another sign that this market is not cool. Like, this pricing structure and this mentality that this market has developed is not okay, and it bums me out because, like, we work in the game industry. We know folks who make mobile games. I had a friend who was making a mobile game, and he was losing sleep over the fact that his game cost $5. That question to me is the fact that that's a question is so sad to me. It's just like, really? Like, this is what we do? Mm-hmm. But this is where the market settled. This is what happened. Minecraft is $7. Just think of what Minecraft is and how on phone it's a $7 game or a $6 game. So I understand why it is this way. I just feel that it is wrong. And I feel that $10 is a good price for what you're getting. I also think that that ultimately, like, Nintendo was never going to show up on the App Store and price Mario at 99 cents or $2. They were never going to devalue that brand. That is just that's how important that brand is to them.
Right.
So the mentality that they should just, I get it. Like, they are definitely testing the waters in a market that does not like that idea. But I'm glad, like, God bless them for it, because I think someone had to.
And they're the kind of people that can do it. They're going to get enough sales from, like the Nintendo faithful that they can put their foot down and make it $9.99, whereas a lot of other developers can't really do that as much.
Well, on the other hand, though, I'm guessing Nintendo wants to reach beyond the Nintendo faithful, in order to bring them into the larger ecosystem. But I agree with both of you guys. I think the perception of game prices has been distorted on the mobile marketplace. I mean, that's part of the reason why I'm not that big on mobile games generally. I don't want to see a bunch of ads or be harassed or buy, a game in piecemeal in order to finish it, or microtransactions.
And free to play especially is like gross. Like, you're playing a game that is constantly pitching you on something. Whenever I play Pokemon Go, and I notice, man, this app in no way is trying to get me to spend money. You're either going to spend it or you're not. But there's not an annoying ad every time I log in saying, did you know you can buy more incubators? Get cracking on those eggs.
Right.
Like, they don't have that nonsense. Yep. And I respect that.
They do it very subtly by making it so that new Pokemon are locked behind eggs that you can hatch by buying more incubators, which is smart. Like, it annoys me a little bit, but that's a smart way to encourage people to spend money without being a jerk about it.
In some ways, no, I agree. But I was like Neal, once this thing got announced, it was, okay, time to do some mobile homework. start playing a lot of runners, play like, for example, like Rayman Jungle Run, which is great, or play like this free-to-play Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, which is a great game.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm playing both of those.
But whenever it reminds me to buy something, and I see how many different price points there are, I'm like, God, this is so gross. Like, I don't like this. I don't like this feeling I'm having right now.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like, $10 for a Nintendo game, that's a bargain! Like,
Yeah.
we're used to paying $60 perpetually for these games. $10 for what is a relatively robust game, by mobile standards, is, like, that seems more than fair to me.
If you were to throw Super Mario Run, just like put it on Wii U, you play it on the gamepad, like $10 for that would be a steal.
Yep. It would be, absolutely. Especially like compared to even a recent Mario game being Mario Maker 3DS, which, has 100, which comes with 100 built-in levels, but, that was a game I felt was lacking, and that is a $30 game, as I recall.
I think it's 40,
here.
actually.
40, yeah. Well, there you go. See? Only strengthened my point. All right, so we got to wrap it up here. Final thoughts on Mario Run, and as well as maybe you want to tie it in, has this increased your desire maybe for the upcoming Animal Crossing and Fire Emblem games that we know about that are coming from Nintendo to mobile?
I was already pretty excited for Animal Crossing and Fire Emblem. I think Fire Emblem more so, maybe, because if they do any kind of like asynchronous, like Fire Emblem playing against a friend thing, that would be amazing. I think Super Mario Run is a great proof of concept of what Nintendo can do on mobile. I think even if I have some misgivings with it, I think it is a Mario game made for mobile devices. They're not square peg round holing it. They are rethinking of what a Mario game would be in this different context, and I think that's awesome. And I can't wait to see what the people at Nintendo, because it seems like they're putting top talent on this. It seems like that's where a lot of like the older guns are going, is they're helping out with mobile while the younger guys are working on Switch and other games.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see what they do with Animal Crossing and Fire Emblem. I can't wait to see what they do with anything beyond that. I think I'm kind of ready for this whole like Switch and mobile future that we're pretty much on the cusp of this being like the new norm for Nintendo.
Exciting times, isn't it?
Indeed.
Oh yeah, no, totally. I mean, who would have thought like Nintendo was gonna, in a technical way, go third party, like put a game on someone else's platform. I do think I feel like we're the audience that's always going to be excited, right, for what the next mobile thing will be. But just looking at it, like stepping back and looking at it from afar, Fire Emblem seems like an easier problem to me to solve than what Animal Crossing will be. Because I think that Animal Crossing has always been driven by the investment of returning to your space, returning to your town, keeping up with the Joneses, and trying to like improve your furniture. And I feel like on mobile, I don't know if Nintendo is going to commit and go full Monty, like full Animal Crossing experience. I just feel like that directly competes with Animal Crossing on Switch or Animal Crossing on 3DS, with this happy update. Or I forgot what it was called. Pardon me.
Welcome
Happy
Amiibo.
Home Designer? Or
Welcome Amiibo. Yeah, I just feel like that's a way harder problem for them to solve. And I'm excited that it's coming to mobile. I'm only worried that it will underwhelm, only because in Animal Crossing's case, there's a very particular rhythm and formula, and these last couple of spin-offs have not captured that vibe. And I feel like that game, if any game, is going to be a spin-off style game. So I wish them the best, and I'm excited to find out what it is, but I don't envy having to solve that problem, because that's going to be tough.
Yeah, I hope it's not a spin-off, as you mentioned.
But I feel like that's the blueprint that they've laid out with mobile, is that they're not. I mean, it's like I would say that Super Mario Run is, I guess, maybe like more of a new Mario game than I might have expected from mobile. But it's still
and a compact one.
It's still like I see a lot of Super Mario Run kind of like pushing me to go back and want to replay new Super Mario Brothers games.
Yeah, but I guess my point is, like, Mario Run is finite and Fire Emblem will be finite, whereas Animal Crossing is meant, the core experience is meant to go on for some time.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't think Nintendo wants every Animal Crossing person to only be glued to their phone. I think Nintendo still very much wants Animal Crossing to be a vibrant part of Nintendo's platform.
Well, especially on the Switch now, where that is a system you can play at home or on the go. They wouldn't want to compromise that Animal Crossing experience with one you can get for a considerably cheaper cost, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and they're a smart company. Like this whole mobile initiative, when they finally caved and said, yep, we're going to do it, there was an Iwata quote I found, I think, where he compared having experiences in games on mobile the equivalent to television advertising in the 80s. He was just like, this is a screen where everyone's looking at it, and we need to be on that screen to show people, and I'm paraphrasing clearly, but to show people like what the quality Nintendo experience, and that what we build is great, so that they get tempted to come over. And July's story was that, right?
And it
Pokemon
still
Go
is.
and Pokemon boosted. Yeah, but let's see if December's story is that Mario got that bump, because 3DS is probably getting that bump automatically anyway. I mean, it's the holidays, and they just did a bundle that was released a bundle that was $99 on Black Friday. I mean, how do you not get a good bump from that?
Right.
But let's see if Mario gets the same bump, and I hope that's the story. But this synergy experiment is a strange one. Let's see if it happens twice.
Yeah, I'm there with you. You actually reminded me of something real quick too, is the fact that this is something Nintendo didn't rush. They took mobile very seriously, and I was looking back at how long it's been since we know they were going to do mobile, and it was almost 2 years ago. It was in March of 2015.
It was my
that they
birthday
announced.
in 2015
Yeah, wow.
that they announced. I woke up on my birthday morning and was like, what happened?
The internet exploded. What's going on?
Oh man, you're lucky you woke up. I was up the whole night because we had this trip for a game the next day, and I'm watching the conference in Japan. Like, this is happening? Like, what is going on?
Oh,
I had like a 6 a.m. flight or something ridiculous. But yeah, it's crazy to think 2 years and here we are.
That's crazy. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me. Jose, where can people find you at?
Oh, sure. You can find me over at IGN.com. We also I host a podcast here called Nintendo Voice Chat. Neal, we have to get you on. We've had Andre. You're on our list.
I would love
promise.
to be on.
Yeah, I'm swearing it right here on public radio, right here on
All
Game
right.
Explained.
Public radio.
We're getting,
Where are we
sorry,
broadcasting? Is this like serious?
yeah.
Is this local? Is this a college radio station? I don't know.
The internet. No, yeah, I'll definitely be reaching out to do that. But yeah, you
Awesome.
can check us out there. You can find me on Twitter at Jose_Otero.
Perfect. How about you, Neal?
I'm on Twitter. I'm at NRON10, Enron10. You can find me and all the stuff that I do on NintendoWorldReport.com. We have a YouTube channel, Nintendo World Report TV, where I'm on most weeks. We do like a video podcast kind of thing called Nintendo News Report, and I'm also recording a lot of Super Mario Run footage. And we have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/NWR. That's helping us keep this independent Nintendo fan site that's been running for almost 20 years still running.
I've been reading it since the Planet GameCube days.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and hey, you know, the dude who founded it, he's working at Nintendo now, so that's fun.
Some good bylines on that
Yeah.
website, let me tell you, and some really great stuff.
There
So
we go.
totally deserves the support.
And of course, guys, make sure to stay tuned to Game Explained for lots more on Nintendo Mobile, the Switch, and everything else, and other things gaming as well. Catch you later. Bye.